Now what we have here is a pretty interesting vehicle to me. This is a 2026 Jeep Wagoneer S. And if you look at this design, it doesn't really, there's not a lot in this design that says Jeep to me at all. You got 6.5 inches of ground clearance, which means it sits very, very low to the ground. And you can see the sporty design of the overall proportions here as well. We got 600 horsepower from this. It is a very, very quick vehicle. But overall, the design just does not feel Jeep to me. It's not a bad looking design. It's just very, very strange. So what we're gonna do in this video, have a look at this design from a front, side, and also the rear. Check out the dual wing that we have here. We have one wing here, one wing up top. It's very raked rear end. We don't even have a wiper back there. We're gonna pop the hood, have a look at the side view, the rear, the interior. And then last but not least, of course, we're gonna take this for a drive and I'm gonna show you just how quick this is. It's still a very, very weird experience driving an EV, SUV EV like this that goes this fast and does 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds or something like that, 3.2. So first of all, let's pop the hood. Now let's talk about what is hiding under the hood. Do we have a frunk or not? I actually have not opened this yet. Not the deepest frunk I've ever seen in my life, but it is there. Now looking at the spec and tech for the Wagoneer S here, we have dual motors. So we have all-wheel drive, of course, 600 horsepower, 617 pound-feet of torque connected to a 1-speed automatic. Full all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. In this package, I mean, an SUV, a Jeep SUV, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds is just nuts. 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, range about 300 miles. This one is spec'd to $67,790. I do believe the base price for this is around $65,000. So not fully loaded, and I don't mind that at all because that means we have less screens in the interior. As I said, 6.5 inches of ground clearance, but it is still a very, very heavy vehicle coming in at 5,700 pounds, but still manages to do the 0 to 60 in that type of time. So this is rubberized in here. Pretty nice to see that. The only thing you can do here is just fill out the washer fluid on that side, and that's pretty much it. Let's remove these leaves up here, clean it up a little bit. So let's close this back down. Let's talk about this design because it is pretty crazy to me to think about that this is actually a Jeep. We have the front end design looking very, very nice. I do like the design. Of course, this being a Jeep, we need to have the 7 slots in the grille. We do have them here in a sort of a new interpretation of how they can implement this. This is also illuminated right here. We have a full light bar going across the entire front end into the indicator light right here. Blacked out housing for the headlight unit, completely blacked out as you can see. I wish this down here was functional, but instead it's just a black patch, I guess. You have the parking sensors integrated across the entire front end here as well. So this is not open up here at all. We have the blacked out Jeep logo. The only opening you see is all the way down here, in addition to these very strange fog lights. The positioning of it, I mean, they're round, but I don't know if you can see it. It looks very strange because the hole for the headlight or the fog light itself doesn't follow the fog light design. Very, very strange implementation of fog lights for sure. The radar is located here. You have the front mounted camera there as well. And I mean, looking at this design, as I said, the only thing that gives it away as a Jeep is the grille, the 7 slots in the front end. And that to me is pretty much it. Up top on the hood, very clean lines. I do like the lines that go down from the A-pillar right here from the shoulder line connecting to the grille there. We also have a couple of lines in the middle section. Now looking at the wheel and tire setup, decent. Not the worst EV wheels I've ever seen, but they look pretty fat. So what do we have here? 235 R20s Falcon tires, and these have absolutely zero grip. I mean, zero grip. When you're stepping on it, the front wheels just spin like crazy. You don't get any traction from these wheels whatsoever. We're gonna show you that when we take this for a drive later on, but the design looks decent. We have some silver spokes here in addition to these black covered up pieces right here to, of course, improve the range. Getting about 300 miles of range of this. This is finished in hot red. I do like the color. It looks very, very clean, and I also like the overall proportions. Looking at it in the side view, it says Wagoneer right there, right underneath the side mirror. Blacked out side mirror right here with the LED inside of the side mirror itself. and we have the black roof. So we have two-tone for this, and full panoramic sunroof up top as well. I do like the blacked out trim, but look at this. What is this, Jeep? What is this? You see the disconnect here? This needs to be fixed. Quality problems from Jeep right here. I don't know if it's pulled up or what's going on here, but that does not look nice. I want to have it to be, of course, in a straight line. But we do have the shoulder line going right here, looking beautiful, and also a thinner line, or a much more subtle line in the lower section right there. Opening up the charging port, we can do that as well. Let me show you what this looks like. Pretty standard stuff right here with the charging cables. You can do fast charging here if you want to do that, or just charge it in your garage. We have the flush mounted door handles. I like to see these are in body color. It looks pretty sweet, pretty clean. And also that we have the blacked out graphics in the lower section to remove some of this volume that we have. If you look at the side view here, it would, to me, it feels natural to have these wheel arches be round, but that would even make it even less like a Jeep. You always need to have the squared out fenders for a Jeep. Otherwise, it's just part of their design identity to have it. Now, coming around to the rear end, and this is where it gets very sporty, super sporty, very interesting as well. We have the Wagoneer S logo here looking pretty clean. And this massive, I mean, check out this wing up here. This is nuts. For a Jeep, this is where I think when I think about Jeep, it needs to have some sort of off-road capability. It doesn't matter what type of Jeep you're driving, but that is the core values of Jeep, isn't it? And this just feels completely different from any other Jeep I've ever seen on the roads. It's so sporty, it's so fast, doesn't really have any off-road capability to it either. We have a full light bar here in the back as well with the LEDs. Thankfully, we do have LEDs all around. I'm glad to see that. Top spoiler, lower spoiler. Let's open this up. Let me show you the trunk space here and what type of space we have for the rear. If we have the seats folded up, we have 31 cubic feet of space, and if we fold them down, we get 64 cubic feet of space. So not the biggest space back here, and that is of course thanks to this raked roofline that we have. Let's see what we have underneath here. Haven't really checked it out yet. We have actually a lot more storage down here, which is great to see. So that's cool. You can fold down the seats. Unfortunately, you can't fold them down from this area. You have to reach all the way to the seat itself to fold it down. You have some 12-volt outlet in this area, some hooks right there, and that is pretty much it for the rear end. Nothing too complex, and that is totally fine. And it doesn't look like this is actually power assisted. It has to be power assisted. I just don't see any button for it, which is pretty strange. So that is the rear. There is the exterior design for the Jeep Wagoneer 2026 model year. As I said, it looks pretty good. I mean, the styling looks like it's a very, very sporty looking Jeep for sure. But does it have the Jeep identity that I want to see for Jeep? No, definitely not. It definitely does not look like a proper Jeep to me, this thing, even though it looks pretty cool. So with that said, let's have a look at what's going on in the interior. Just a quick heads up before we jump into Photoshop. If you're interested in learning design sketching with me, my 11-hour online class is now only $47 throughout December. And you'll learn everything from what basic tools to use, ideation sketching, rendering, car design sketching, industrial design sketching, and much more. I'm also going to go over my 2 design portfolios page by page to show you what a portfolio looks like that got me into a master's in automotive design in Italy. Check it out at analogdesignerpropack.com, linked down below. The layout for interior is pretty straightforward. We do have one interesting screen in that lower section that you can fold up and fold down. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But the overall build quality feels decent for the interior. Not like the exterior here with this trim piece. That is very annoying. I just want to push this down. But the interior looks pretty good, and we do have some nice textures here that I want to see. Memory seat settings, controls for the mirrors right there, and window controls as well. Some cup holders in the lower section, Alpine speakers, power assisted seats, obviously, for this in this price level. The seats look very standard. Nothing crazy going on with the seats right here. I actually like the design of them. They don't shout too much. So let's jump in here. Let me show you what is going on with the Jeep 2026 model year. Move this around a little bit so you can see more clearly what is going on with this interior. So looking at the screens here, we have a 12.3-inch infotainment screen in the middle, which looks pretty decent. And of course, you can customize this a little bit. The screen setup right here, for example, upper left, you can have whatever information you want there. And you can also customize the overall layout if you want to have the full map. For example, I do believe you can get the full map right here. You can have it be in single, just a number for the speedometer. And here we go. Here we have the full map view as well. You have wireless Apple CarPlay. And we have some nice textures up top. This is soft touch material here. I do believe this is a 10-inch infotainment screen. And we also have this small screen down here dedicated for the climate settings, which is pretty nice to see. And you can actually store this away, which shows you the storage underneath. You have 2 USB-Cs here, and you still have access to the main climate controls when this is stored away. But you can also fold it back down like this. Very strange. I don't think I've ever seen this integration before, but I'm not opposed to it. It feels pretty cool. Not a fan of this gloss plastic that we have, because you can see all the fingerprints is getting on this panel right there. And this gloss black continues all the way here. I do believe you can have a screen for the passengers there. You can also have the head-up display, which this one is not equipped with, which is great to see because I'm not a usual fan of head-up displays. We have the vents up here, very chiseled looking hazard button for sure. Heated seats right there, heated steering wheel as well. Going into the camera settings, you have all these cameras, which is pretty crazy to see if we go through them. Stellantis and Jeep, they always have great camera systems, and this one is no different. Very high resolution. You can see exactly, of course, where the camera is positioned. You also have this 360 view, I think. Actually, it's just toggling between the cameras like this. So the camera system is absolutely fantastic. Great to see it. We have autonomy here. Going into these settings, you can see all the sensors are working. We can go through the front end, side, and also the rear end. Electric vehicle. This is very annoying. Every time you start a vehicle, the settings for the regen braking is currently on the minimum level, but I want to have it in maximum level. And now I don't know why we can't put it in to regen braking. I'm not entirely sure why that is not working anymore, but it worked when I drove here. So maybe it's because it's cold outside or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But you always want to put it, at least I always want to put it in max regen when I step into the vehicle. Controls right here. We have some controls for those areas right there. Nothing too complex, nothing too crazy. And we also have these settings here, all the driver assist settings, and that's about it. As I said, you can have the climate settings down here. You can also have, if you're crazy about your climate settings, you can have both screens like this, which is pretty interesting to see. But obviously, you're probably always going to have it in Apple CarPlay, so you use your phone for that. Now, looking all the way down here, we have the drive modes in this area. So we have Sport, Auto, Eco, Snow, and Sand. This is the drive selector, putting it back into Park. We can put it into reverse. It's, of course, going to pop up again, the reverse camera right there. Start button right here. And we talked about this screen already. 2 cup holders with the key looking pretty normal for a Jeep key. We have Jeep in the back right there, and we have some buttons for the automatic start, open the trunk, horn, and also unlock and lock. We have auto hold, hill descent control buttons, wireless charger pad right there. Opening this up, we have a little bit more storage down there in addition to a outlet. Let's see what type of outlet this is. This is actually just a regular 12-volt cigarette outlet down there. I would love to see some USBs in that area. We talked about the seats already, looking pretty decent to me. And we have a proper size glove box here as well. Steering wheel. Now let's talk about these new type of steering wheels that we see coming out. These squared circles that we have right here. I'm not a fan of this. It doesn't feel natural to hold my hand up here. It feels a little bit more natural to hold my hand right here, which I never do anyway, and down here is totally fine as well. But having this flat surface in the top and the bottom, I'm not a fan of it. I just want to have it be rounded up here. Flat bottom is fine, but up here I want to have it be rounded. Cruise control settings on the right side, controls for the screen right there on the left side, and all the way up top here, we do of course have the full panoramic sunroof going all the way back to the passenger seats in the back, in addition to some LEDs right there. So let's jump into the back seat. And by the way, this has to be the worst integration of a door handle I have ever seen. You see it right there on the passenger door. But when you want to get out, you have to break your wrist in order to press it. This is not good design at all. It feels completely unnatural to open the door. You also have the analog one or the non-electric door opening here if the electronics were to fail. But this is not good. I mean, I want to have it sit inside here or somewhere else than there, because it just does not feel natural. So let's jump in and have a look at the back seat here. Pretty decent amount of space. We do have a very low roof, and we also have the 6.5 inches of ground clearance, so the car sits very low. However, sitting behind my own driving position, no problem. I wouldn't expect it to be any problem sitting back here. I mean, it's an EV, you don't have a transmission tunnel. Floor sits very low, and I have plenty of leg space, plenty of head space still, even if you have this very raked roof line. And if we fall down this, you're going to find yourself 2 cup holders right there, a couple of USBs down here as well, in addition to some vents and some netting right in front of you. And that is pretty much it. So with that said, with the ambient lighting shining up a little bit here in the back, let's take this 600 horsepower EV for a drive, and let's spin the front wheels a little bit. Okay, so it looks like the regen braking is back to normal, so let's put that into max. I just have to restart the vehicle just like you do with your phone to make things work again. That happened here as well. So let's take this 600 horsepower Jeep Wagoneer S for a drive, and let me show you what this is all about. Now, this is a very confusing vehicle for me because, first of all, there are several reasons. First of all, the design. I don't feel like this is a Jeep at all. It doesn't really have any sort of Jeep design identity to it, except for the front end and the squared off housing for the wheel arches. Secondly, I don't know why Jeep built this vehicle. What is the point? Who exactly is the buyer for this? I mean, Jeep, you would think, as I said when we talked about the exterior design, you would think you want to have at least a little bit of off-road capabilities, but this does not have that. These tires are not good off-road at all, and they don't even have any traction on flat surfaces either. It's all about range efficiency. So I don't know who would buy this vehicle. It still looks like a good vehicle. I mean, the design is great. It looks clean. It looks sporty. But I'm still a little bit confused about sporty, SUVs like this, EVs that has 600 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. It's kind of a strange vehicle overall, but it is extremely smooth. We can put it in, let's put it in eco for now. You have about 300 miles of range. Let's see how far I've driven with this vehicle so far. So let's switch the screen here in the middle, and let's see if we can actually get the information I'm looking for. So here we go. I've driven 23.7 miles, and I think when I got this vehicle we had about 90% of range, and now we're down to 78. So is it really 300 miles in the real world? I don't know. Maybe you can get it to 300 miles if you're in city traffic for 300 miles, but on the highway I highly doubt that this is in fact going to give you 300 miles of range, but that is pretty typical for EVs today. So we're going to come out to this main road here. I'm going to floor it, and we're going to hear some tire squeal from the front end, because as I said, these tires are just not made to handle 600 horsepower. Good news is you do have one pedal driving, and that is something I want to see in every single EV because it just makes sense to me. All right, so I got no one behind me, no one in front of me either. So let's come to a complete stop here, and let's floor it. And let me show you, put it into sport as well, and let's go. It is quick. We're going uphill now, by the way. It's definitely quick. I don't know if you can hear the front wheels just struggling for grip. But thankfully it is all-wheel drive, so some of the power is, of course, being sent back to the rear wheels. I actually think this has a 50-50 distribution of the power. So you have 300 horsepower to the front wheels, which is giving it some problems for sure. But for some reason, the rear always sticks. So let's floor it one more time here. I mean, it is a rocket ship for sure. But am I excited about it? Not really. I mean, you want me to be honest with you? It's just EV power. It's just the same old torque, instant torque acceleration you have with every other EV. And I've said this before when we tested the A6 e-tron, the Q6 e-tron, the Ioniq 5, and that's the problem. They all feel exactly the same, and that is indeed a huge problem for EVs if you want to make them exciting. You can go fast all day, you can do these accelerations all day, but after 5 minutes, it kind of gets a little old and not hearing the screaming engine screaming for you under the hood. You want the engine to do the screaming for you when you feel like you need a break from the world. Rev it 6,000-7,000 RPM and just hear the noise from the engine when you're flooring it, instead of this complete silence that we get in EVs. That is my main complaint about EVs if you want to make them exciting and more focused on enthusiast driving. But overall, very confusing vehicle for me, this Wagoneer S. I do like the exterior styling. I really like this interior as well. There's nothing wrong with it. I have problems figuring out who this car is actually for. Maybe you can help me with that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.